Zion, Zion, Zion. What happened? How did we go from the most exciting high school mixtape, making us believe that a refrigerator could fly, to the most dominant single season college ever? How do we go from that to 5 seasons later? No playoff appearances, no all NBA, more disappointment than we can even count. And this isn't a hit piece on Zion Williamson. I'm very careful not to make this video just be 10 minutes of me dogging Zion Williamson. This video is about the fans of the Pelicans. The city of New Orleans deserves better. This is sad. Chris Paul traded away. Anthony Davis traded away. And what do you have to show for it? You have a superstar. No, let me take that back. You have a superstar contract because you don't have a player that is available for games because he will not take care of his God-given body. He will not take care of the natural gifts that he has. It's so bad that Zion was just suspended by his own team. Why? Because he is late to practice. Because he is late to the plane. There's one thing they say. It's hard work beats talent when talent refuses to work hard. And if you played basketball at any level, and if you had a coach that gave a damn, you've heard that over and over and over again. And that quote sums up Zion's career in the NBA so far. It's just been a letdown and a refusal to do the things that are not easy. Yes, it's the diet, and this is not a body shaming video. And I'll take a second to start right there. What is body shaming? It really bothers me when you make fun of short guys. It really bothers me when you make fun of guys' dicks. It does not bother me when a professional athlete that is getting paid $50 million a year cannot diet and exercise. There is a weight requirement if you are in the U.S. military. If 18-year-old boys can get drafted and go to war, and they have to be able to run a mile in a certain amount of time, that a guy that we're paying $50 million a year, this guy makes more than DC superhero movies. This guy makes more than the entire WNBA, deservedly. This guy makes more money. He definitely makes more money than me. If I made as much as him, I would have had a third example there. And again, it's not just his weight, it's his behavior. How did we have a porn star drama before one playoff series? How do we have a video of him getting a tattoo shirtless with, honestly, my body composition? Like, I should not have the same body type, the same upper torso as an NBA superstar. That is embarrassing. If I took off my shirt right now, it would embarrass me. And I definitely wouldn't take off my shirt and then get a tattoo and then post that video on the internet. It's the decision making. Zion Williamson has done the least with the most, I think, in the history of the NBA. He comes out in his first game in the NBA, his first game, rookie season. He blows us all out of the water. He hits 4 threes in his first game in the NBA, and his whole knock was supposed to be that he shot like Ben Simmons. Guess what? He's never hit 4 threes in a game again, because that's it. He showed he had the potential. He teased us, and then he refused to work hard, developing his jump shot, putting himself in opportunities to be better. And this is a letdown for the city of New Orleans. This is more about the Pelicans. They have such an incredibly bright future if they get rid of Zion Williamson. Trey Murphy is one of my favorite players in the NBA. He is a 3-level scorer that gives you incredible percentages. He can do everything with the ball at an elite level except playmake, and he's growing in that area. And if you need playmaking, you have Dejounte Murray on a reasonable contract. Dejounte Murray has not looked good this year. That's because he's a playmaker that has almost every viable scoring threat on that team hurt. The Pelicans have pieces. Herb Jones goes down with a shoulder injury, and you got to ask yourself, would he have gone down with that shoulder injury if he didn't have to play crazy minutes all season? If he wasn't guarding 4s and 5s because he's undersized? I don't know. I'm not going to blame Zion for fluke injuries, but I am saying that this Pelicans team has all the pieces to put together a contender if they're not giving a max contract to Zion Williamson. And I want to show you how obvious it is that there is a massive problem with Zion Williamson. All you have to do is you have to look at his max contract he signed. His max contract that he signed. Because it isn't a real max contract. It's not guaranteed. No. Zion Williamson's contract says that he has to make weight like a professional prize fighter. That's ridiculous. You can't think of another time in the history of the NBA that a max player is having his contract tied to his ability to stay in shape, and he can't do it.
I don't think he can play at that weight long extended periods of time at 285. I just don't believe.
There's this thing in science called Schrodinger's cat. It's if you take a cat and you take some poison, some radioactive poison, and you put the cat and the radioactive element in the box. There's like a 50% chance that the cat is dead, and there's a 50% chance that the cat is alive. But you don't know until you open the box. Well, guess what? That's what Zion is. Zion is Schrodinger's pussy because he is this superstar, this tantalizing talent. And he's always right there. It's always this season. And then you open the box and what do you get? Oh, 20 missed games, 40 missed games, another injury. This man came out and had one of the most dominant single games I've ever seen in a playoff environment in the play-in. And he couldn't even make it the entire game. And this isn't Greg Oden. You're not going to see me rag on Greg Oden. In fact, I made a video, go check it out, praising Kawhi Leonard and his rehab and his championship attitude and his championship mentality. Kawhi Leonard has probably gone through half a dozen surgeries at this point, maybe more. We don't even know all the procedures he gets in the offseason. And Kawhi Leonard has been ripped, jacked, shredded the entire time. As a much older man, by the way. Zion Williamson is what happens when you take the self-improvement of a Ben Simmons, the diet of a retired Charles Barkley, and you mix in the knees of a Greg Oden. You combine all that into a New Orleans gumbo, into one max contract, and you have this disaster. And every time you think you're going to quit Zion Williamson, every time you think, okay, that's it, I've had enough, he brings you back. He's the only player in the history of the NBA to ever average over 27 points per game and shoot over 60% from the field. When he gets into the paint, he has unbelievable touch. He's literally a bull in a china shop if the bull never broke anything. He can pivot. He can pirouette like a ballerina. He looks more like Black Widow than Hulk, honestly. He's out here doing dives and ballerina moves and then soft feathery touch. Boom. I think there's going to be a team that believes in Zion Williamson. You've got to find the team that wants to trade for him. Then the problem is what team? What team is going to trade for Zion Williamson? Would the Miami Heat be willing to take on Zion and say maybe we can get him in shape? If there's a team that talks about culture and work ethic, it's Miami. If Zion gets traded to Miami, I'm not saying he is, but if Zion were to get traded to Miami, something has to give. You have this immovable object and this irresistible force. Like the Heat require their players to be in the most shape of any team in the NBA. And Zion is this hard partying, lazy working, fake superstar. I kind of want to see it happen. There's not that many teams you could even find a trade. Like looking through this, Denver is never going to trade for Zion. Oklahoma City is never going to trade for Zion. The Phoenix Suns might be the dumbest franchise. The Suns management and their ownership might be the only ones. They might be the only ones dumb enough to trade for Zion. Their owner doesn't care about the second apron. Their owner doesn't care about the future. I think their owner is just planning for the world to end in 2 years because he's running the Suns like there is no tomorrow. If for some reason somebody posts this on Twitter and it gets 1 million views, by the way, don't forget to like and subscribe. Once we get to 50,000 subscribers, I will quit my job and just make better and better videos instead of doing it after midnight as a tired old man. Tell me what team you think Zion's going to end up on. Tell me what team you think would be dumb enough to trade for him. And let's see what happens. The trade deadline is coming up in February. We might have seen the last of Zion Williamson in a Pelicans jersey. This might be his last 4 or 5 weeks. What do you think, Pelicans fans? That's who I want to hear from. I want to hear from the people that actually pay money for tickets. You know, Zion says it's hard to stay in shape. There's a quote of him. It's hard to stay in shape. It's hard to diet when you have money. No, dude. It's hard to stay in shape. It's hard to diet when you work a double shift and you don't have money for a salad. You don't have money for Whole Foods. You don't have money for a private chef. So you're getting McDonald's value menu. You're feeding your kids the Happy Meal. I grew up single parent home. My mom fed us garbage. Not because she didn't love us, because she literally didn't have time. She was exhausted. Now I'm an adult. I work my ass off. You know what? I have a salad every now and then. I eat better because I have more money. It's just so insulting. It's such a lack of accountability to say, oh, it's hard to stay in shape. It is hard to stay in shape, Zion. And it's hard to be in the NBA. And it's even harder to be a champion. And you were drafted number 1 overall, and you were paid a max contract to be a champion. And if you don't want to do that, I think the Pelicans are better off moving on.